You may have noticed that over the last several years, the Walt Disney Company has taken away more from their parks than it has added. For example, at Walt Disney World, over at Disney's Hollywood Studios Park, they've taken away the Great Movie Ride, Lights, Motors, Action, The Streets of America, and The Little Mermaid Show, and more. They're getting ready to destroy the Rivers of America at the Magic Kingdom. They're going to demolish Tom Sawyer's Island. So, what could be next on the chopping block? Well, if destroying Walt's legacy isn't quite enough for Mr. Bob Iger, then maybe also destroying Jim Henson's legacy will be, because that's exactly what the Walt Disney Company under Bob Iger is getting ready to do over its Hollywood studios now. They're gonna stop the music, they're gonna dim the lights, they have the monsters coming to destroy the Muppet Show tonight. We're going to get into the next thing that Disney is just set to destroy, and that is the Muppets. And let me see. I may have to take this. I have to take this down, I guess, because I know Erica has some thoughts on this. I've already seen a few of them. Let's see. Here we go. Disney Imagineer. This was my thought. I'll show you Scott Gustin's post in a minute, but this is basically them wanting to replace the Muppets with Monstropolis. So I posted, Disney Imagineer in charge of MK. Hey guys, I'm going to ruin Frontierland by draining the rivers of America. And then a Disney Imagineer in charge of Disney's Hollywood Studios says, hold my beer. And let's take a look at this post by Scott Gustin. He says, new. This is on X, by the way, Scott Gustin on X. Monsters Inc. Land will replace Muppets Courtyard and Muppet Vision 3D at Disney's Hollywood Studios. To make way for Monsters, the Muppets will take over Rock and Roller Coaster and, quote, team up with music's biggest stars for a rockin' music festival, end quote. I don't know, Erica, what do you think? What do you think of the Monsters taking over Muppets and Muppets taking over Rock and Roller Coaster?
Muppets is supposed to be for all ages, especially kids. And not everyone can go on roller coasters. So it's like Raph pointed out, he's like, that's like taking, building a massive drop tower and theming it in Peppa Pig. He's like, I mean, it's just, I guess Muppets is only for people who can go on roller coasters, just like, our generation, that's it. Just forget kids, forget folks that maybe have medical issues. They grew up with the Muppets and they can't go on coasters, but they enjoy the Muppets. Like, I mean, seriously, who thought of this?
I don't know. It makes me wonder, because right now, right behind where Rock and Roller Coaster is, you have a villain show going in, right? So that's what they're doing there now. But will that villains show last? Because they do have that space there. So it is possible that they could throw Muppet Vision 3D, because they still have the film, obviously. They could revamp where they're putting the villains temporarily into Muppet Vision 3D eventually, but who knows when all of this stuff is going to happen. The problem I have with all of this is that Muppet Vision 3D
exactly
is Jim Henson's last. That was the last project that he worked on while he was alive. So it is not just a movie; it is history.
Right.
Muppets on a Coaster is not Henson's creation. Yeah. I don't know. I guess
they're ruining, not only just, an attraction, but you're ruining somebody's legacy who is, just as beloved as Walt Disney.
Yeah. I mean,
Disney is just completely erasing anything that has made the company what it is for families from generation to generation. I mean, there's just nothing to pass on anymore in terms of nostalgia from, our generation. They just wanna rip everything out, start new, be sloppy about it on top of that, and the whole attitude is, "Well, get over it and just deal."
Well, and the weird thing is, and it says it's not them; they're beloved, so they don't care what they destroy. Yeah, this is back in the '70s with the Muppets.
Mhm.
It's hard for me because one of the things that Disney brags about, one of the things that Walt wanted when he bought Walt Disney World, okay, conceptually, in his mind, it was going to be this big giant city, but it was going to be a city where they had enough space to do whatever the heck they wanted. And what are they doing with that space now? Why do they keep destroying parts of the park that people love and recycling them without, using this extra space that they have? It bothered me. Hollywood Studios, by the way, Hollywood Studios is now my least favorite park. It
Yeah.
definitely was not
It's
that before.
it's not what it used to be, and I don't understand why they couldn't just keep the beautiful theme it had originally with that golden era Hollywood theme all throughout the park, and how movies were filmed. Even, keep the theming on how movies were filmed back then, not necessarily how it's done now. They could have kept, that theme going, and they just turned the park into this, like a catch-all of just
Well,
whatever it is they can stick there, and it doesn't make any sense.
the way that Disney did the backlot tour, you remember Catastrophe Canyon and the backlot tour, the
Mhm.
way that the last iteration of the backlot tour wasn't particularly long, but it was
Yeah, I
great.
remember
It
because they
was
kept
so,
chipping away
yeah,
at it over the
we did.
years.
We chipped away at it, but what they had left at the end was great, and you got to see things like Superman's original cape, Christopher Reeve's cape that he wore, that was showcased in
Mhm.
glass,
I
and a
remember
bunch of
that.
other movie props, and the original Darth Vader costume, and all kinds of really really cool things that you would see when you go to Hollywood and you go to an actual backlot.
Mhm.
I remember going to the MGM backlot a couple times. I went there to go see Friends. I was in the studio audience of Friends, but I took the time uh, outside of that to also go take the tour on a different day, and it was cool because they have a whole museum of their props and costumes and stuff they use. I saw the original Catwoman costume that was used in the '92 version of Batman Returns. To Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman costume was on display there, and turns out she's extremely small. She's because I'm like looking at the costume and goes, it looks like a little kid's costume. It just turns out I don't know, she must be like 5 feet tall or something. She's really, really tiny.
Mm.
Um, as a lot of Hollywood actors are. You don't realize until you get there. When I went to the set of Friends and saw how small they all were in person, like David Schwimmer, I think was the tallest, and he's like 5'10". And they were all like tiny people. I'm like, oh, interesting. I didn't realize how small Hollywood actors are. But anyway, they're changing this now, and Marvin Montanaro wrote a great article on this. Let me see if I can bring that up. And that's at thatparkplace.com.
Was this the
Disney
one
to
he wrote today?
destroy, yeah, Disney to destroy the
Okay.
Muppets for Monsters Inc. Josh D'amaro will bulldoze Jim Henson's legacy with destruction of Muppet Vision 3D.
Wow. Well, Marvin is definitely angry. Throw down Josh D'Amaro's name like that in the headline,
Well, I mean, I understand that. And
and
my
I don't
mom,
blame him. Yeah.
all my favorite rides and shows are gone from Hollywood Studios. Yeah, mine too. The Great Movie Ride
Yeah.
is gone. The
Yep.
Backlot Tour is
Yep.
gone. Lights, Motors, Action is gone. Osborne Family Lights are gone. Streets of America are gone. All the Hollywood Players are gone. Everything that was great about Hollywood Studios, Star Wars Weekends, also gone. It's all gone. And what did they replace it with? They replaced it with Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge. Galaxy's Edge is the best fan fiction. Doesn't look like anything from it. Looks Star Wars ish, but I always say it's that uncanny valley of Star Wars because you walk in. If you go see Diagon Alley at Universal Studios and then you go right from there and you went right from there over to Galaxy's Edge, you'd be like, why the heck couldn't they have done with Galaxy's Edge what they did with Diagon Alley. Diagon Alley looks like it's right out of the freaking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh,
they
I
hate
see.
everything Walt.
Yeah,
I don't.
exactly. Well, that's what it seems like. I mean, just look at how they've just been chipping away, and now it's not just little chips anymore. They're just taking chunks out, and they just don't care. I mean, and they know what their audience wants. Like, they're watching stuff like Make Disney Walt again. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly. I made these hats like this on purpose so that people would
And you
take a
made them
second
red?
look. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's other colors actually than
Yeah.
available, but people will look at these hats and they'll think that they say something else, and they'll look at them and a second time and they'll realize that's what they thought they said. Thought the hat said is not what it says, and they'll be like, okay. What does that mean? Make Disney Walt again? And people can be like, I just want Disney to be the Disney that it used to be. uh
Yeah,
when it
put
when
Walt
there
back in Walt
when
Disney.
there wasn't an upcharge for every little thing, when they didn't nickel dime you to death, when Magical Express was free, all of that kind of stuff. So yes,
The
these are
theming made sense,
great.
attractions worked, parks were clean, the standard was there.
Yeah, exactly. But let's get back to the story from Marvin Montanaro. Disney to destroy the Muppets. And I love I do love that he says Josh D'amaro will bulldoze Jim Henson's legacy with the destruction of Muppet Vision
And
3D.
he
And there it is,
knows these
Muppet Vision
articles
3D.
are read by Disney sees this stuff. Like, we kinda know that now. So,
They're gonna see it now, baby.
yeah,
The
they are. I'm
case,
glad. Good.
the worst case scenario has become reality. And yes, we did speculate on this. This was the rumor for a long time that this is exactly where Monstropolis was going to go. Because when we first looked at the concept art, you could see some of the buildings in the concept art that very much look like the buildings that are already there. I will say this: I don't think anybody's going to care too much that Pizza Rizzo is going to go. But
They're
I
never
was in there.
open.
No, they're well.
When are they ever open? It seems like
I was
the
there
hours are
the
weird
other
over
day,
there.
and that's where that area of the park is where the Santa Claus meet and greet is right now. So if you want to meet Black Santa Claus, he's over there in that park, in that part of the park. The worst case scenario has become reality. Disney has announced today that it will destroy the classic Muppets and Muppet Vision 3D in Disney's Hollywood studios to make way for a new Monsters Inc. land and attraction. The company has also announced that the modern Muppets, led horrifically by Matt Vogel as Kermit the Frog, will replace Aerosmith in Rock and Roller Coaster. The announcement dropped this morning on the Disney Parks blog, with company writers doing their best to pretend that this is somehow good news. I like how I love how Marvin puts it.
Right. Oh, man, get straight to the point there, Marvin. Show us how you really feel.
I feel like I should read this because it's supposed. Do you remember that? Do you remember that scene in Robin Hood, Men in Tights, where he's where
I didn't watch the
the
entire movie. I've seen snippets of it.
okay, so there's a scene where the king, the what is it called? The sheriff of Rottingham, right? The sheriff of Rottingham comes in. He says,
Rottingham.
"Yeah, sheriff of Rottingham comes in to King Richards and says to King or King John, yeah. Anyway, he's like, I have some news for you, sir." And he goes, "Isn't it bad news? Is it? I don't want to hear bad news." And he goes, "Well, to be quite frank, yes, it's actually bad." He goes, "Wait, I have an idea. Maybe if you tell me the bad news in a good way, it won't come across so bad." It's just a really funny scene. Oh, okay. Bad news in a good way. Let's see. Robin of Locksley is
right there.
bad.
Bad news in a good way.
Yes, Robin of Locksley is bad, and he wants to kill you. It's hilarious. It's one of the best scenes in movies ever. It's so funny. So I'm feeling like maybe I should read this bad news in a good way, like maybe like Casey Kasem would have read it. Building off the exciting announcements from last summer's D23, the Ultimate Disney Fan Event, the new land will include the coaster we've all dreamed of, a suspended ride recreating the door vault scene, plus dining and shopping in a whole new theater show, the Disney Parks blog said. To make way for the monsters, Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, and more of their friends will be moving right along the Sunset Boulevard. But there's more to the story. The Muppets will be taking over Rock and Roller Coaster, teaming up with some of music's biggest stars for a rockin' music festival. It will be America's Top 40. The Parks blog also shared a look at the concept art for the new location, complete with a takeover of the Muppet Theater. So yeah, there you see. And by the way, this area of the park that is, I pointing to it on my screen, which doesn't do anything for you guys at home, I know, but where that attraction, you can see the Muppets Theater there on the right, right? You can. It's really easy to see. Let me see if I can. Is there a way to blow up the concept art? Yeah. Okay. All right, so I'm going to blow that up on my screen so you guys can see it pretty well. And let me see if I can even get the picture a little bit. I'm going to put us down here in the corner. All right. So over there on the left is Pizza Rizzo. Over on the right is Muppet Vision 3D, which they're not tearing any of it down. It's all still going to be there. You can see Galaxy's Edge off to the right. And you can see that area of the park where they're building the new Monstropolis ride. And I guess what they're going to do is repurpose all of the buildings that are already there into Monstropolis buildings. So they won't be rebuilding anything. They'll just be doing the facades. Retheming it, yeah. And I know exactly where that area is because it's cut off. There actually used to be a Lightning McQueen meet and greet back there. And then you'd walk. There's like fence right now. You literally run right into a fence and it says cast members only. And that area is still very much an open area because I was trying to look literally, I don't know, a couple days ago, I was looking back through to see what I could see because they hadn't done anything with that area. And that's where they're going to build it. Off to the right where the Big Back building is, that used to be Lights Motors Action. That was the Lights Motors Action Theater. I don't know. They're trying to do. They're trying to make this happen at Hollywood Studios, and it just seems like every decision they make about Hollywood Studios makes it suck more. It's especially with Epic Universe coming. In the future, I just see a lot more people choosing Epic Universe over. Certainly over Hollywood Studios. I know there's other parks to choose from at Disney, but I just feel like Hollywood Studios is going to very quickly become the least favorite park of most everybody. Animal Kingdom is pretty cool. I mean, I'm not nearly as upset with what they're doing in Animal Kingdom as far as dinosaurs concerned, because there are dinosaurs. Jurassic Park, honestly, it outdoes everything that they've done at Dinoland.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm like, when you think dinosaur, I think Jurassic Park, and I say just let Universal have the dinosaur thing.
Exactly. So Disney kind of, I think, is smart on that decision, backing out of competing with Universal on dinosaurs. Let all the dinosaur stuff go over there. Right. Even though the eatery place was very well themed, it just wasn't utilized. I mean, it's always empty. It still is, you know. The Boneyard, I hate that I don't want the Boneyard to go away, and I wish that they could repurpose it because that is the best kids play place in any park and it's awesome. But I don't know.
Maybe Universal will take a little hint and build their own.
Well,
it'd be cool if they did.
Have you been to DreamWorks Land?
Universal's gain? No, I haven't.
Okay, DreamWorks Land is really, really cool. And for kids, and as far as a play area, it's awesome. And for adults, you can make the frogs go, good. Why, sir? I love doing that. It's so much fun. Muppet Vision 3D is the final project worked on by Jim Henson before his untimely death in 1990. It's the last time he played the role of Kermit the Frog. So when you go to Muppet Vision 3D and you're hearing Kermit the Frog, that is actually the voice of Jim Henson. Muppet Vision 3D is, simply put, the legacy of Jim Henson. It's a trip into the Muppet Theater where guests can gape up at a Statler and Waldorf heckling the show. It features one of the very best pre-show staging areas in all of Disney parks, put together painstakingly by Disney Imagineers back when that was a sign of excellence and Henson creatives. But none of that matters to Disney's smirking parks and experiences head honcho Josh D'amaro, who seems all too happy to spit on the ashes of Henson's final work, despite there being a large empty space just across the park and animation courtyard. Of course, D'amaro didn't personally announce that he was bulldozing the Muppets for Monsters, Inc. during the 2 presentations of the new attractions. There is the Miss Piggy as the Statue of Liberty.
That's a classic.
I know. Maybe they'll move it. The space currently features the Star Wars launch bay, a useless area that displays replica ships from the Star Wars films and features 2 character meet and greet locations that can easily be relocated. It also has the Disney Junior Live on Stage Theater, which has sat empty for years since the show's cancellation. The space is now reserved for dance parties. A former Disney animator recently let it slip that Disney was planning on using the animation courtyard for the monsters, but that information was either false or Disney just changed its mind. However, there are executive offices behind the courtyard, and rumors have been swirling that Disney higher-ups were pushing back because they didn't want to lose their posh workspace. And
I wouldn't say
so,
it's posh, but okay.
yeah, I mean, I used to be a cast member, so I've been back there, and I know the workspace. There's a nice little parking garage back there for the executives. So for that, Muppet Vision 3D and the legacy of Jim Henson must be destroyed. The Disney Parks blog also tried to spin this as a positive, touting the Muppet overlay of Rock and Roller Coaster. Woohoo! And you know, I mean, I will say that Rock and Roller Coaster definitely needs an overlay. What the heck are they going to do there? Because if the Muppets, it says the Muppets and modern, contemporary, whatever. I don't know. That's weird. We know so many share our love for the Muppets and know their energy will be a perfect fit for this coaster, Disney said. Plus, as the first Disney ride ever to feature the Muppets, there's sure to be laughter, screams, and new tunes for this attraction for fans to enjoy throughout the adventure, and plenty of Muppets themed merchandise on Sunset Boulevard, because, of course, it's all about the merchandise. Of course, this attraction won't feature classic Muppet performers. Disney drove Frank Oz, Henson's right-hand man who originated Fozzie Bear and Miss Piggy, away from the property long ago. There's a shot inside the current theater. So it's really cool when you go to the Muppet Theater now, Muppets in 3D. There's like a hidden Mickey thing on the side. I don't think I ever noticed that, but it looks just like the Muppet Show that you grow up with.
Yep. It was done on purpose like that.
I know, and you have real Statler and Waldorf, and the Sweetums is a live action character that comes out during the show. It's a great show. It's so much fun. I've been at it a couple times recently, and honestly, it's one of the best things that Disney has, which is probably why they're getting rid of it. I'd love to do the Muppets again, but Disney doesn't want me. Oz said they don't want me because I won't follow orders and I won't do the kind of Muppets they believe in. Disney also fired Henson's hand-picked replacement Steve Whitmire from performing the roles of Kermit the Frog and Rizzo the Rat. They replaced him as Kermit with Matt Vogel, a man whose atrocious performance has utterly ruined the character for old-school Muppet fans the world over. Disney seems to know that, too. Since Vogel took over the role, the company hasn't featured Kermit in a lead role for any Muppet project. There was
good observation there, Marvin.
Yeah, they didn't hire me. Hi, ho, this is Kermit the Frog reporting live. There was also a Muppet Vision 3D in Disneyland, but Disney closed it down in 2014. What do you think about Disney getting rid of Jim Henson's legacy? Should the Muppets be abandoned for Monsters, Inc.? Do you think Josh D'amaro cares? Could this Rock and Roller Coaster overlay actually be any good? Sound off and let us know. I feel like I should do that in Marvin's voice. Sound off and let us know.
So I think my initial thought on Rock and Roller Coaster as Muppets. Okay, yeah, I can see where it can work. I can see where it can be fun. But my thought immediately goes to Muppets, were has always been for kids and families for all ages. So, if you're going to bring in an adult attraction that can only adults, by certain, weight, height, and even, be in good health to ride an attraction like that, you need to balance it out with something for the entire family. You're completely taking out there again, Disney, you're completely taking out the family unit. Experiencing attractions together, you're separating the family unit. How are you supposed to introduce the Muppets to your kids now if the only people that can ride, this attraction are adults and healthy adults at that? I'm getting to a point now where I can't ride a lot of rides like that as much because I have a early signs of a slip disc in my spine. So my roller coaster and jolting days and attractions are slowly, declining. So I don't know if I could go on this ride. I mean, it would just depend on the day and how I feel and if my back could handle it, and there are people in worse medical conditions than me that really have to stop and pause on, I really like the Muppets or this theme, but can I really ride this attraction? And then I'm gonna feel like I'm being discriminated or alienated against, and it's a theme that's meant for families. Like,
I
what
don't
is
know.
your problem in families and ripping them apart? I really don't get it, At least Rock and Roller Coaster with Aerosmith kinda had an adult theme. It had, you know, it made sense in that regard, but Muppets, you fine, do it, but you need to come in with with another Muppet attraction for kids and parents to enjoy together.
And I mean, it's possible that they will because they do have that space. Like I said, where Villains is going in, we don't know what they're going to do. And they could definitely put, they could put a Muppet theater back there. They could totally move everything that's inside the
They're
curtain.
doing a good job at shattering any of that kinda hope because any good
And that's the
idea
problem. Yeah.
that the audience is screaming at them at, they're completely ignoring. So, you got super fans like Marvin, like, his love for, Muppets and Jim Henson is my love for Walt Disney,
Exactly.
and, like, I get it. I get that feeling of just devastation.
Devastation, ironically, is what it seems the Walt Disney Company wants to do, at least under Bob Iger and Josh D'amaro. They want to devastate their parks instead of actually compete with what's going on over at Epic Universe. Well, folks, thank you so much, Erica, for coming in and joining us for this video today. Find her over at Erica and Raph, link in the description. Before you head out the door today, please do leave a comment. If you're not already, consider subscribing to the channel. Click that like button and click that notification bell. When you click it, you stick it to the YouTube algorithm and you get notified of all of our uploads here at Follow the Bradley's Fun. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, we will see you real soon. Thanks, everybody. Ciao. Bye. Have a good one. Bye.